Hello, wrestling fans. Once again, we're here back on the 20x20 Ring Crew. Another episode coming right at you. I'm here with Matt. What's up, Matt?
Hey, yo.
Of course, I am Joe. We are the 20x20 Ring Crew.
Or are we?
What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I caught you
Are we? It's all this Bullet Club shit going on. That's what it is.
Yeah, we don't know who we are anymore.
Yeah.
What a way to start off the show.
I'm Team 20 by Alpha. We always have wrestling on in the background, and we happen to be watching the
Rager at Sea.
Chris Jericho's Rager at Sea, courtesy of Ring of Honor and the Honor Club. If you haven't already got your Honor Club subscription, you can always get information on that through us over at 20x20 crew or 20x20crew.com/podcast/Honor Club, all one word. We are currently watching the main event, where it is Alpha Club, which happens to be the Young Bucks and Chris Jericho, against the Bullet Club, and I'm going to use air quotes here because there's so much shit going on with this right now, but it's a three-man team consisting of Marty Scurll, Cody Rhodes, and Kenny Omega.
And actually, it's actually funny because Cody, before this match, I'm thinking about it now, confirmed that he was no longer in Bullet Club. And then, of course, after this match, the Young Bucks confirmed that the BC Elite is simply the Elite. There's no Bullet Club.
There's no Bullet Club, yeah.
Talk about a cheap use of the name to promote a match.
Yeah.
When they had no intentions on... You know, like, I like these guys. I do. But I hate the way they're doing business right now. It's do it all for yourselves, and it's like not giving back to... the other part of the business.
Yeah, they had come out and said in a recent interview, I think it was on Jericho's podcast, that someone had asked them about the Bullet Club shirts. And, there's always, obviously anywhere you go these days, you see Bullet Club t-shirts anywhere and everywhere.
Right.
And they were asked how much money they made off of those shirts. And surprisingly, Matt Jackson said nothing. They made nothing off of those shirts. The Bullet Club is a New Japan copyright, so
yeah,
that is their property. They don't. They make money off of Young Bucks merchandise,
right?
So I think a lot of people get those two things confused. But they don't make any money off of Bullet Club stuff. And that's kind of whether we like it or not, that's part of the reason that this whole thing's going on. They want their own brand. They want to be able to push their own brand, get paid for their own brand. Smart business, but that kind of leaves Bullet Club elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I get, again, and I'm going to make this real quick here, my point. To add to what I said last week, I totally understand that reasoning. I get it, and I never once denied that or anything like that. It was just how they did it. And even if they weren't making money off t-shirts, they certainly were making money off the name still, because again, as I pointed out last week, all these guys had not a lot going on for them before they put on that Bullet Club shirt.
True.
Now, it's not me. I don't want anyone to get it like my words mixed up here. I'm not saying that they would never have been successful without the Bullet Club. But it's the instant stardom that you get with that name.
Yeah.
So that's the point. I mean, yeah, you weren't making money off a t-shirt, but you're making money off of everything else. So, I don't sit there and feel bad for the Young Bucks for not making money off Bullet Club t-shirts. But because certainly the Young Bucks merchandises were a big deal because of the notoriety of the Bullet Club. So
absolutely, I totally agree.
But that's not what we're doing tonight. We actually got something special planned for you. And,
in the spirit of tournaments and Thanksgiving.
The Thanksgiving tradition.
Yeah.
Which I find it weird because this is a company that you and I don't like talking about very often. But we're going to spend quite a bit of time doing something special here. Joe brought to my attention the other day about Survivor Series. Survivor Series obviously has been around since 1987. By the way, quick little plug here. If you don't have the WWE Network, by God, do yourself a favor and get the WWE Network. That's really the best thing that they got going for them right now. Go to 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network, all one word, and find out what we're talking about with Survivor Series, a Thanksgiving tradition originally. A little quick history of it. It came about because of the success of WrestleMania 3. Obviously, initially Andre and Hogan, and because pay-per-views weren't a thing really back then, so they added a second pay-per-view in November, and it's stuck ever since.
Part of the reason they even started this whole Survivor Series pay-per-view, obviously you're right. One of them was to get into the field of pay-per-view,
right,
and that lucrative market, but also to combat the Jim Crockett promotion.
Oh yeah,
of the NWA, yeah.
They had a little show going on of their own called Starrcade.
Starrcade,
in case
yeah.
you've never heard of that. Also on the WWE Network.
Yeah. So yeah, they initially did this as kind of like a power play to keep the Crockett promotion kind of in check, and like, hey, you guys are not the only ones that can be a part of this new pay-per-view market. And you're right. Ever since it has stuck, we're now in our 32nd year of Survivor Series, believe it or not.
This was a pay-per-view, too, that they were actually considering on ending. I don't know if you remember that from the late 2000s.
Yeah,
They put it was on the chopping block, and last second they decided to take the finger off the trigger and not pull it, and I'm glad they didn't.
Me too.
It's lost a little bit of its edge, I think, but it's I don't know. I guess being an old school fan in a way, I kind of don't want it to go away.
I also don't want it to go away. And even the format has changed so much over the years,
right?
Which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, you can't help but think about tag team matches, survivors, sole survivors when it comes to the words Survivor Series. And I'm a huge gimmick guy. I love gimmick matches, whether they be tournaments, cage matches, what have you. I am all for a gimmick match, and I had brought it to Matt's attention. Why not do the kind of like the ultimate Survivor Series match and base it off of the original format? And for those of you who don't know, the original format was supposed to be teams of 4 that battle throughout the night. So you have 4-on-4. It's elimination style, so when you get pinned, you're out of the match. And then once one team is eliminated, whoever's left from the other team are considered survivors of that match. And then at the end of the night, after all of the first round matches, if you will, have taken place, you have a set of survivors from each match. Those people would get into the ring and have a sole survivors match, and the last guy standing, or the last guy to not be eliminated, would be the sole survivor of the night, therefore winning that year's Survivor Series. So that's the format we're going to use here with this special episode, and we've got 32 years of winners to go through.
Should be fun.
But that, in a way, that makes it perfect for tournament brackets because it's divisible by 8. So
what's our rules then for everyone listening at home?
So each year we're gonna take the survivors of each.
Only the survivors.
Only the survivors of each match, each Survivor Series match, and we're gonna pit them against each other in a sole survivors match for that year. So 1987 will have one winner, 88 one winner, so forth and so on. And then once we go through that first round, we will be down. We'll have our first 32 contestants.
So I think it's important to kind of establish some rules here, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong here. So let's start with 87, obviously, when we do it. We're basing it off of them in their 1987 form.
Yes.
I would imagine. Okay.
Yes.
So, I'm kind of playing along here, too, trying to figure this out. Can we have survivors being repeated? Could we have an 87 survivor being repeated in, let's say, 1990, or no?
Absolutely not, because you want 32 different combatants.
Okay.
So,
that's something to keep in mind then. When you
yeah, because, I mean, think about it. This is just a hypothetical here, but, Randy Savage was a sole survivor, or was a survivor in 87 in the first one.
Right.
If we chose him for 1987 as the sole survivor, and he comes up later, like a year after he died or something, whether he was associated with them or not, we can't have Macho Man versus Macho Man's dead body. That's,
I got you.
You know what I mean? So that's we won't be able to do that.
Well, I meant 87 Macho Man, and let's say 88 Macho Man.
Right? Yeah. No, we won't be able to do that.
Don't want to do that? Okay.
No.
All right. So I just wanted to clarify those rules. That's it.
That's pretty much it.
We're kind of doing our own tournament of death in a way.
Yeah.
Because 98 was actually, believe it or not, was one of my favorites because of the tournament, even though it's the first one to not have a Survivor Series match.
Yep.
But it still involves survival, obviously, being a tournament. So, I guess there's nothing left to do besides pick our brackets.
Yeah.
So let's start. Let's start with 1987, the inaugural Survivor Series that took place. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, this was actually on Thanksgiving night. So imagine having your turkey. Did you watch, by the way?
I did.
You were around, so
I was around. Yeah, I was 9 years old.
You watched it Thanksgiving night?
Yes, we did. It was a big deal for me because I'm a huge wrestling fan. Even back then, and this was one of the first pay-per-views we were able to actually have and purchase.
Okay.
Thanks to my grandparents.
Nice.
They loved me, and they bought into it. They're like, yeah, it sounds like it'll be interesting. So. We'll definitely check it out.
So we're Survivor Series. That's cool.
Thank you, Grandpa and Grandma. But yeah, I was able to watch this, and again, I'm a big gimmick guy, so I'm like in hog heaven, man. Let's do it, This took place November 26, 1987, in the Richfield Coliseum in Richfield Township, Ohio.
I believe the first two, at least.
I think it's more than that. I think it's the first four.
First four? Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
There you go.
So, yeah, this was, again, this was part, hey, let's get on pay-per-view more, and also, hey, let's stick it to the Crockett promotion. And you know what? It's weird saying that, because if you think about it, something so successful, I mean, the success of the Survivor Series in a whole can be argued, hey, it's been a pretty successful successful event over the years.
Yeah.
And its origin was to combat the Crockett Promotion style of wrestling, NWA style of wrestling. Not, it wasn't. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
You have, especially these days, you have the WWE, which back then was the WWF, obviously. Doing things and saying things, they're trying to be their own sports entertainment entity. It's always been that way. They wanted to be full of superstars and not wrestlers.
Yeah.
But they used wrestling tactics to beat out the competition. So that's always
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah. Well said. So,
Survivor Series 1987, you got, should we just list the survivors?
Yeah, if we start listing teams, we're going to be here for fucking ever.
Yeah, this would be like a 10-hour show. Yeah. So, I'll just go in order of the matches. In the first match, your survivors are Randy Savage, Jake Roberts and Ricky Steamboat.
Yes.
Already tough competition here.
Uh-huh.
The second match, you have the Jumping Bomb Angels, a team of Itsuka Yamazaki and Norio Tateno. If I'm saying that right.
Yes.
And which was all women Survivor Series match. The third match was an all tag team Survivor Series match. So once your partner was eliminated, you were also eliminated. You had the Killer Bees team of B. Brian Blair and Jumping Jim Brunzell, and the
Young Stallions.
There you go. Team of Jim Powers and Paul Roma. And then you had the very first, in the main event, you had the very first sole survivor to ever come out of a Survivor Series match, and that was, no surprise here, Andre the Giant, who was obviously having a great in '87, even without winning the world title at WrestleMania that year. So let's start. Let's debate this, if you will. Who walks out of '87 as the representative?
I could, knowing what I know, I could tell you right now, I'm going to eliminate the Jumping Bomb Angels not because they're women.
Right.
Slow your roll, people.
Yeah.
Simply because that is talent that is brought in to, like, as an attraction.
Yeah, they were predominantly, if I can say that right, All Japan Pro Wrestling, and as well as some independent wrestling.
Yeah, so you and that unfortunately that goes for all of the ladies.
Yeah, because women wrestling was, I mean, even then they were barely valets,
second class citizens.
Yeah, man, they that was back in the day when it was they were treated. And this is not my words, people, but they were treated like the midget wrestling, where it's just like, hey, we got women wrestling here, like, oh,
yep.
The freak show's coming out, kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's how it was treated. So
right away, I'm gonna eliminate the Angels. Sorry, ladies. That was one of my favorite tag teams.
They were a good tag team. Yeah, they were fun to watch.
That being said, speaking of tag teams, I personally can't stand the Young Stallions.
Oh no,
Jim Powers and Paul Roma. Oh my God, they stink up the joint, man. I don't. You know what? If there are any Young Stallion fans out there, I would love to hear from you, because quite frankly, I've been watching wrestling since I was 3 years old. Mm-hmm. So I'm days away from being 40 years old when this episode hits. So we're talking 37 years of wrestling. I have yet to meet a Young Stallions fan.
I'm gonna meet that one guy. You're the guy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure they're out there, but I've never met anybody who was like, those Young Stallions, they're fucking great.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. So those are my next to be eliminated.
Okay, I think we're on the same page so far.
Okay.
I'm actually throwing out the other tag teams. Well, I think all the tag teams are out. And it's nothing against the Killer Bees, who were having a good '87 that year.
Yes, they were.
But just the remaining four, I think, are just hard to touch.
True, very true.
You know, that's the only reason why. You go to '87. Obviously, we talked about the year of Andre that he had, but then you have Savage and Steamboat, who are having
put on a clinic.
Yeah, who are having a great year.
WrestleMania 3.
Yeah, nobody's talking about them per se the way that we are now. 30 years later. But again, who's putting on better matches than those two?
Exactly.
Right now? And then Jake Roberts, same thing's having a good year as well. So that's the reason why Killer Bees, I think, with all due respect, I eliminate them. If you disagree,
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Okay. So that leaves the final four here: Savage, Roberts, Steamboat, and Andre. I guess let's continue knocking them off the board here. Who's next to go in your opinion? Because I have my pick.
You know what? I've always, whether it works or not.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of, let's get the biggest fucking guy out of the ring.
Okay.
So for my money, I would love to see Andre go next.
Andre, I'm okay with going. Again, he's having. It's weird. He's having a great '87, but he's having a great '87 in WWE sense of mind. By that I mean it's great, but his character is great. The actual wrestler is obviously older.
Yeah.
He's not. I mean, he didn't want to do WrestleMania. We're not going to go through that storyline, but he's coming off of Princess Bride, where he can't even hold 100-pound girl on his own because his back's so terrible. So I eliminate Andre because even though his character is obviously doing extremely well, the man behind the character is obviously aging. He's hurting. He's got the disease, and it just doesn't work out. So I eliminate Andre as well. For me, it's hard. Obviously, it gets harder the more further you get, and that goes without saying. But it's like I almost eliminate. I have to eliminate Roberts, in my opinion, just because it's Savage and Steamboat. And again, two guys who went so under the radar that entire year, but nobody's putting on. I mean, they're the workers.
Yeah, they're the workers.
They're the
at this
workers,
point.
and then they're. I'm basing it off of not where you're at as a character, but where you're at as a performer or wrestler. And although Roberts is obviously putting on good matches, I wanted to come down to Savage and Steamboat and do it again.
My thought is a little bit different here. I think Savage and Steamboat can't get enough of one another.
So they eliminate each other, huh?
And they eliminate each other.
Okay.
Whether it be via count out or disqualification or what have you. But they eliminate each other, and that leaves Roberts. That's my pick.
So you got Roberts in 87.
Yep.
Going all the way. Okay. Okay. Because I had Savage in 87. But Savage and Roberts, I'm okay with Roberts.
You okay with
Roberts? I can do with Roberts.
Okay.
Yeah,
we can agree to disagree.
I'm not gonna fight you on that. Honestly, so long as so in my head, ladies and gentlemen, my head kind of always spins all the time, and as soon as I listed the names, it was Savage, Roberts, Steamboat, and then I stopped in my head. It's like, that's it. That's your final three.
Screw everybody else.
Anybody else, it's a no-go. Even Andre, because, again, for the reasons that I gave. So we're going to go ahead and do Roberts 87. So let's go then to 1988. If I'm not mistaken, 88 is still Thanksgiving night. Still in Richfield Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
So Richfield, did they ever go back? Like once they were done with Survivor Series, like they never went back. I'm assuming, maybe for like some house shows or something. But
yeah, not for Survivor Series.
I don't even know if that arena's even open anymore.
Right. If it is, it's under a different name.
But let's dive right into it, shall we? The first Survivor and the second Soul Survivor that ever took place was the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, Lord.
Man, there's so many things I can say about that.
Yeah.
The second Survivors, I guess they're Soul Survivors because again, this is a tag team one.
Yeah.
So again, you're eliminated if your partner's eliminated as well. The only survivors of the tag team Survivor Series match was the Powers of Pain, the team of the Barbarian and the Warlord. The Warlord, that guy. The next match saw two survivors. They saw Dino Bravo and Mr. Perfect. And the main event, the final survivors, saw Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
There you go.
There is your survivors of 1988. So where do we start here? Who goes first?
Powers of Pain.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Because I'm assuming at this point, like once the tag team's made it, as far as our tournament goes, like you're now individual wrestlers.
Yeah, you have to be. But
both of them out of here.
At some point, like even if you start off the match like, hey, we're gonna tag team up against everybody, eventually, if it all works out and it's just the two of you, you're gonna have to eliminate your partner.
Go. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, The Warlord never got any respect when it came to these types of elimination matches.
No, never. I'll never forget that one Rumble where he was in for 3 seconds.
It was
not
like
even?
3 seconds.
Yeah.
They tried their damnedest to break it. I don't think they actually broke it with Santino, but WWE
They came close,
they definitely broke rules if it didn't break it. So, but Powers of Pain, yeah, I could take them off the board. Yeah, you know what name I want to take off that board, but I'm not going to. Cause I'm going to be fair.
Why not? Do it.
I mean, it's 88. It's still the peak of Hulkamania, and yeah.
I'll tell you what. I would also take him off the board.
You want Hogan gone?
Yeah, because
the fuck out of here.
Wasting no time. I take Hogan off the board simply because this is too gimmicky for him.
Okay.
Just listening to interviews and podcasts and such over the years, he's that guy.
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm not gonna do it, brother. I'm not doing the job, brother.
Yeah.
So yeah, fuck Hogan. Hogan's out.
Get him out of there. Do business for him and get him out of there.
I also don't like Dino Bravo on here. He can get 86th right away too.
That's a interesting choice of words there.
He
when it comes to Dino Bravo,
he was such a powerhouse, big strong guy, all that, and I'm not.
It's weird because he was tiny.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was a bad worker or anything, because I've seen worse, obviously, and we'll get to him later. But yeah, for my money, Dino Bravo. There's just better talent in this batch of guys.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say goodbye, Dino
You
Bravo.
mean like the Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah, that's what I meant by I see Morris. That would be my next pick to go out, was the Ultimate Warrior.
Now in '88, would you have been disappointed? Were you a little warrior?
No, you know what?
You saw through the bullshit.
I did, because at that point, again, I'm 9 going on 10 or 10 going on 11.
Right.
I'm not trying to do that kind of math in my head right now. But,
Sure.
But I've watched so much wrestling already. Keep in mind, I'm watching the WWF, the NWA Crockett promotion.
You're watching real wrestling.
World-class championship wrestling.
Right.
Some of the Mexican stuff, whether it be AAA or CMLL.
Okay. Just whatever is available.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to be able to watch all that via my cable and regular TV, and also AWA. So I get to see all these different things, and yeah, whether people like this or not, I'm sorry, I saw through the bullshit.
Right.
Something about him rubbed me the wrong way, and it was it sucked. You could tell he would get winded through matches very quickly because he fucking blew up coming to the ring, running down like a goddamn idiot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And these were long entrances with a lot of twists and turns in some of them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really weird setups.
Yeah, he would get to the ring and clearly be winded, and you're like, wait a minute, now he's supposed to fight the likes of Hogan and Savage and people of that nature.
It's not believable.
It's not believable anymore.
So, again, for me, this is a WWE product, but I'm not basing any of my stuff off characters.
Okay.
So Ultimate Warrior, I don't think it's going to win anything. To be fair, I
agree.
That's my prediction.
I agree.
We'll see how that goes, but that leaves Mr. Perfect and Savage on the board.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I mean, at this point, Savage obviously isn't just a worker anymore. I mean, he is the heavyweight champion or WWF champion. Mr. Perfect is a worker, but obviously wrestling wise, one of the best in the WWF at the time. It's a toss up for me, and I'm curious to see if we agree on this one. But not because I didn't get my way in '87, but I'm going with Savage.
You're going with Savage?
I'm going with Savage.
I agree. Do
you agree?
I do agree.
Okay,
Because he's on too much of a roll in '88
Right.
He's got the title.
He's going a little bit crazy at this point too.
He is, but you can't stop that freight train.
The madness.
Or is it crazy train at this point?
Freak out. I have a bad Savage impersonation. Deal with it.
Everybody has a Savage impersonation, though. That's the good thing.
The one thing I wish I could do is a Dusty Rhodes, but I can't do one.
If Mr. Wrestling 6 was here,
Oh,
he does
man.
a pretty good one.
Yeah.
All right, so 88 is our sole survivor is the Macho Man himself, Randy Savage. Now we get to 1989, which took place in our neck of the woods, being Chicago, Illinois, Rosemont, at the Rosemont Horizon, very famous venue when it comes to wrestling. Believe it or not, Stone Cold Steve Austin's favorite venue to wrestle in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
There you go. You know I like that guy. Rosemont Horizon, man. I still believe Thanksgiving night.
I believe so, yes. So, yeah. And they actually build it as the WWF Thanksgiving night tradition.
There you go.
Again, we're in 1989, and our survivors to choose from for this year are the polka dotted one himself, Dusty Rhodes, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Randy Macho Man Savage, which, because we chose him in 1988, he is automatically eliminated.
He doesn't get to compete.
Due to our ruling. The Earthquake, and if I'm not mistaken, he's the Canadian Earthquake at this point.
He's Canadian, yeah.
Dino Bravo back on it again. Hulk Hogan, Mr. Perfect, and that pesky Ultimate Warrior one more time.
There he is. He's got another shot, guys. What do you say?
So, right off the bat, again, sorry, Dino Bravo.
Dino Bravo's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. He's another one. I just don't see him winning anything.
Okay, so you got Dusty, you got Beefcake, you got Earthquake, you got Hogan, you got Perfect, and you got Warrior. Again,
I'm 86 and Warrior.
Yeah.
I don't like Warrior. I don't think he wins it. I just don't. Between his performances, and all the bullshit that he put the other talent through,
yeah,
they're not going to let him do much in something like this.
I mean, if we're taking WWE or WWF wrestlers and putting them in a non-WWE ring, yeah, absolutely. Warrior doesn't get shit. And this is what we mean, real quick here, segue, just real quick, what we mean about guys like Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
You take them out of that WWE ring, they don't survive.
They don't.
No pun intended. But next guy I take off that board, I'm a fan of his, but I just don't see him going far as Canadian Earthquake.
Yeah.
And again, the whole big guy thing too. Not saying that big guys don't have a chance, ladies and gentlemen. They do. But in this case, I just don't see I think Earthquake is out of there.
Well, and again, in matches like these, they're usually targeted.
They are targeted
at some point in the match.
Yeah, absolutely right. So are we done? We got a final four already?
We do.
Yeah, Dusty,
Beefcake, Hogan, and Perfect.
Hogan and Perfect. Okay, I get Beefcake next.
You got Beefcake next.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'll take Beefcake out.
Okay.
That leaves Dusty, Hogan, and Perfect. I'm gonna 86 Hogan here.
Oh, Hogan's gone, huh?
Again, because it's just too gimmicky, and we have 1990 coming up.
I was gonna say, I think you're cheating here. I think you're looking ahead.
So Hogan's out for me.
So we got Dusty
and Perfect,
and Mr. Perfect.
Only because I never I knew where Dusty came from.
Yeah.
And I really didn't see him staying too long in New York.
Right.
I'm gonna eliminate Dusty.
I think it's fitting. I think WWE Dusty Rhodes isn't Dusty Rhodes.
It's not Dusty Rhodes, and he doesn't. Man, he just sticks out like a sore thumb. As much as he tried, he's one of those guys where you give him a pile of shit, he's gonna do everything in his power to get that pile of shit over. Because that's what he does. That's all he knows how to do.
Absolutely.
And he tried like hell with those fucking polka dots, but It just didn't work.
Just didn't work out.
Not for me.
And if you're going one-on-one here with a guy like Mr. Perfect too, again, a workhorse who just didn't get the respect he deserved during a big guy era.
Yeah.
If we're being by performance here, Mr. Perfect. There's not even a question there. Mr. Perfect takes 89.
All right. So we have our third entrant in the form of Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. He wins 1989. We're already up to 1990, and
cruising right along.
The sole survivors, or the survivors here that we have to choose from for 1990 are the Immortal One, Hulk Hogan, and the Ultimate Warrior. And like I said, Ultimate Warrior's not winning shit in this tournament, so he is out for me, which leaves Hulk Hogan. And whether he wants to do the job or not, brother, he's my pick anyway for 1990. It's like 1990 in this tournament here is like it's like politics. It's like picking between the lesser of two evils.
Yeah, it's like picking shit or picking diarrhea. Like which is cleaner or less messy? And I guess the answer is Hogan. And that fucker finds a way to get into this tournament. So, shouts out to James Rolk, the angry video game nerd, because I get a lot of that shit now.
Do you?
Yeah. It is important to note that there were other survivors. This was the first and only Survivor Series that followed what you talked about earlier.
The format that we're using.
The format of survivors taking on survivors. So the reason why we only stuck with Hogan and Warrior is because they were actually the only survivors of the Survivor Series match. So,
right.
Between Hogan and Warrior, hands down Hogan. It's there's no match there. Growing up, obviously I was born in the late 80s, and I wasn't around during the Warrior era, but I was when I was given the tapes. What?
Be glad you weren't.
Yeah, when I was given the tapes and everything like that, I was like, oh man, I like this Warrior guy. But again, as I mentioned, all the way back in episode 1, I was introduced to WWF first, and WCW and
right.
NWA second, and it's like, wow, that's wrestling. I like that stuff better. So that's why Warrior was such a hard pill to swallow when you find out the kind of dirtbag that he really was.
I will never forget. We used to play fight and wrestle outside on my front lawn, and we're always picking our favorites and whatnot. And one of my best friends at the time, he didn't watch too much wrestling. He knew I was a huge wrestling fan, so we're picking guys. And so I decided I'm going to be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
I used to be a huge Hogan mark. And then he decides he's going to be the Ultimate Warrior. So he comes out from between our apartment house buildings.
Yeah,
as the entranceway, he comes running. He comes running full speed. He's acting like he's shaking the ropes the whole night. And then the match starts, and he leaves. And I'm like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "I'm going to the corner store." I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because the Ultimate Warrior doesn't really do anything other than that." And I was like, "He gets it. He doesn't even watch wrestling, and he gets it."
That's it.
So I was by myself in a tag team match there, but yeah, point taken.
You gotta love it when people who when it's that obvious, because there's, again, even back then, I'm sure there were fans that watched the product that just didn't get it. Warrior's the be all end all, just like Braun Strowman is today. But,
oh God.
91 was, if I'm not mistaken, 91 was the first year in which there was that every match wasn't a Survivor Series match, because this was the year that Hogan and Undertaker fought for the title. If I'm not mistaken, in which Undertaker wins his first world title, which a lot of people forget that he won it that early in his career.
Yeah, yep.
So, because he debuted the year before, 90.
Yeah, he caught on quick. He was an instant superstar
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And this takes place November 27th, 1991 in Detroit, Michigan at the old Joe Louis Arena.
It's important to note that this took place on Wednesday.
Yeah, the day before.
Mm-hmm. So it was called the Gravest Challenge. Oh, man. They were so corny back then.
Yeah.
I mean, they're corny now. I mean,
Yeah.
It's not like I'm, But, so your survivors are 1991 here. You got Ric Flair.
Woo!
You got all of Team Slaughter here.
Which was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, not to be confused with Hacksaw Tim Duncan. That's a story for another time, folks. Sergeant Slaughter, the Texas Tornado, which is Kerry Von Erich.
Yes.
And Tito Santana.
Not Chico Santana?
Not Chico Santana. Earlier, before we recorded this episode, I was kind of rewatching some of these matches, and I happened to be eating dinner with my mother, and we're sitting down, and she could not stop laughing at Jesse Ventura referring to Tito Santana as Chico. She could not. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he just keeps saying that." Like, yeah, that's kind of.
Can you imagine like Jesse Ventura doing commentary now?
Oh my God!
Like, especially like how sensitive the world is now. Yeah. Like, Chico, you can't say that. And, oh man, the stuff Piper did in the '80s too.
God, yeah,
oh my goodness.
So you have those four guys also, and then you have the Nasty Boys. That's Jerry Sags and Brian Knobbs, or Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And Blake Beverly of the Beverly Brothers.
Okay.
I hated their theme music. And the Legion of Doom, a.k.a. the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, out of our own stomping grounds in Chicago.
They win.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Obviously, Blake Beverly, no thanks. He can leave.
He eliminates himself.
Yeah. The Nasty Boys. Don't get me wrong. I have a certain amount of respect for the Nasty Boys, but in this case, sorry, they gotta go.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
As far as Team Slaughter goes, I'm gonna say probably not Tito Santana. Probably not Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah, Tito Santana misses. He's leaving his prime at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm gonna say no to Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you know what? Again the same thing with Sergeant Slaughter. I have a respect for him, but I agree. I like Legion of Doom in this one, but who from the Legion of Doom is the sole survivor? That's the question here. That's the $1 million question.
That's assuming that Ric Flair isn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about Ric Flair.
You forgot about the Nature Boy.
I see Legion of Doom sticking it out as a team until the very last two, so that's why I forgot Flair. Sorry, Ric Flair.
Man, he's rolling over in his grave right now.
Oh man,
wait,
he's still alive.
Is he? Is he though? So if I had to do a final four here, I'm actually going to leave Kerry Von Erich in. Because he was having a hot early 90s when he came to the WWF.
True.
And then I do too. Seeing this is a very tag team oriented. Actually, there's only 2 tag teams in there, but it seems like a very tag team oriented situation here that I would keep both Legion of Doom in. And then, of course, Ric Flair goes to the Final Four as well. Texas Tornado gets eliminated first, and seeing that right now we're at the peak of LOD's run in the WWF. They're about to have a really good 92 coming out.
Yep.
I'm okay with Ric Flair being eliminated. With all due respect to Ric Flair, I think it's not as bad, but it's kind of the same situation with Dusty Rhodes. Like it didn't have the same feel.
Yeah,
you could totally tell the passion. The hour-long matches were gone. I mean, he's not a gimmicky guy, and he's wrestling for a very gimmicky company. You could tell it's just he's there because of the resentment he has with World Championship Wrestling at the time.
Yes, that's exactly why he's there.
So it's not the same thing, and I also too want to know Animal versus Hawk, who wins. You know, it's a really interesting matchup, and I'm curious to see here because you're out of the two of us, you're the bigger LOD fan, Road Warriors fan.
They're what got me to watch wrestling. So yeah, you know what? I've over the years I've seen them disagree very rarely, and I hate to say it, but I think the guy that has more killer instinct out of the two is Hawk. I say Hawk stays.
Hawk's cutthroat, man, and that's saying something because Animal is no pushover either.
Exactly. So for my money, it's Hawk. Hawk's my soul survivor.
I'm gonna go with what you said because you're the bigger fan of LOD, and we both have them in the finals. So at this point, essentially, it was flip a coin for me. So yeah, I'm gonna let the bigger fan out of the two of us pick the winner there, and so Hawk is the representative of 1991. And then we go to Survivor Series 92. They're back in the Richfield Coliseum. I believe they are still doing like the day before Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah, I believe so.
And at this point, for this year, I should say, your traditional Survivor Series matchups are very limited. Actually, there's only one. So
yep.
Your sole survivors in this match were the Nasty Boys, Brian Knobbs and Jerry Sags. I think it's unfortunate because, with all due respect, I just don't want to see either one of those guys go. But somebody's got to represent 92, so I'm going to let you pick, too, because I say we eliminate both of them, and whoever faces them in the first round gets first round bye.
Wow.
But so I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna put whoever you say on the board. You're not gonna get any debate out of me.
I'm a fan of completely utilizing my roster.
Okay.
So someone's gonna fucking wrestle.
Okay. Shit, I mean, I'll throw like a fucking pillow out there and make them wrestle a pillow.
Well, we'll save the pillow for later. We might need it for another year.
All right.
For my money, I think Brian Knobbs.
Brian Knobbs,
yeah,
better of the two?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Brian Knobbs gets our nod for 1992. Not a pillow.
Not a pillow.
He might be shaped like one, but yeah. So we're a third of the way through already in this first round of tournament bracket making.
I guess it helps that 92 was such a shit year for the Survivor Series. So we go to Survivor Series 1993. It's in the Boston Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. That's now just TD Garden, right? Or is that different? No, it's a different arena.
Yeah, it's a different arena.
Okay, I don't know my Boston area very well. It took place on Thanksgiving Eve, which is infamously known as Black Wednesday or Blackout Wednesday.
Yeah.
Be safe out there, ladies and gentlemen, because you gotta be good for Black Friday.
Yeah.
So 93, your survivors are in the first match. You have the 1-2-3 Kid, real name Sean Waltman, who was known as X-Pac and Six and all those other names, and Marty Jannetty.
Oh boy,
I know who your pick is. The second survivors, you have the Hart family and Brett, Bruce, and Keith Hart. Then in the third Survivor Series match, you had all of
Team Bushwhacker,
which had both Bushwhackers, Butch and Luke, and then Men on a Mission, which is Mabel and Mo.
Yep.
And then the final Survivor Series match saw Lex Luger.
Oh boy,
Lex Luger. Man, there's so many things to say about that guy.
Yeah. So again, this is like politics. Like, should we pick shit or diarrhea? I was a fan of the Bushwhackers, but they're so fucking gimmicky.
It's hard to pick them to win anything.
Yeah, really. So for me, the Bushwhackers are out
because it's unfortunate because if you're talking the sheep herders, it's a different team.
Yeah, it's a different
team. So Men on a Mission. All right, I eliminate Mo. I eliminate Mo because he's the weaker of the two.
Yeah.
Mabel, if you remember, he's on course, not necessarily right away, but he's on that course where he's about to become like more than just a tag team specialist. I mean, he's 2 years away.
He's getting a push.
I mean, he's still 2 years away or a year and a half away, I should say, from the King of the Ring.
Right.
But he's plausible. He's a big guy, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this is still the big man era, so it's not just he's a big guy, he's gonna win matches but never win big matches. There's a chance that he wins. So I'm leaving him in there for now.
Agreed.
That leaves he's the only guy from Team Bushwhacker that I'm leaving. As far as the Hart family goes, I don't know. What do you think about Bruce and Keith? I mean, I know they're older. Even
they don't last.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty easy. So that leaves Brett for now, and then you got 1, 2, 3 Kid and Mario Jannetty. 1, 2, 3 Kid obviously is his matches that he's winning are like miracles.
Yeah,
and I just don't see it happening.
I don't see a miracle happening here.
I don't see Mario Jannetty winning.
I
anything.
don't see Jannetty winning either. So we're left with Bret Hart, Mabel, and Lex Luger. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to eliminate Bret the Hitman Hart.
Oh, you're eliminating Bret.
Yeah, because at this point, Luger's there, and he's getting the push. He's there for a reason, and and that's a whole other podcast, folks. If you want to know more about Lex Luger.
I feel like you have something that you want to say, so yeah, we'll have to talk about it.
He's kind of a dick.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I mean, like for the time and place.
Yeah,
he's kind of a dick, and he's like almost he's like very diva-esque about his career in the WWF at the time, where he wants this and this and this, but he's not worth it. And for whatever reason, much like Brock Lesnar today, he's kind of just kept getting what he wanted.
Right.
So I think, I hate to say it, I think Luger gets 93 for me. Whether I want that to happen or not, I think logically, in my mind, that's who wins 1993.
Yeah, I mean,
it sucks because, again, we're still in the era of the big man, and I think Mabel, like you said, is very plausible.
Right.
But for my money, because of all the shit that was going on, I think Luger takes it.
Yeah, I mean, Brett's definitely on that point now. I mean, especially, coming off of the SummerSlam from '92, and just that type of aura that he has with him, and then the '94 that he's about to have, too. I mean, he's at that point where, even as big as Luger is, because you got to remember, as big as Luger was, you look at. I know I'm jumping here a little bit, but you look at the Royal Rumble in '94. Who wins that? It's Bret and Luger. Who walks out of WrestleMania as champion?
Okay.
So I get what you're saying, and I agree. I agree that it's Luger. It's tough on me to bet against Bret Hart because Bret Hart is at that point though too. Although not as much of a diva, I'm not saying that he wasn't a handful to deal with. I'm sure he was. But Bret Hart is also at that point where he's obviously no longer a tag team specialist. He's no longer a mid-carder. He's only a few months away from being world champion. So
you sold me. Let's 86 Luger.
Let's say out.
Yeah, fuck Lex Luger.
Fuck Lex Luger. Worse than life already did.
You're a dick. So Bret Hart wins our 1993 pick for this massive 32-person tournament we're fantasy booking here, and we're gonna move right along to 1994.
94.
Which took place
San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, Texas. It took place at the Freeman Coliseum on November 23rd, 1994. The tagline is, "It's time to meet your maker."
The Undertaker at the OK Corral.
Oh,
shit.
boy.
Fuck out of here. The good, the bad, and the dead man.
Oh, good guy. You only have 3 survivors this year, and that is the bad guy himself, Razor Ramon, Bam Bam Bigelow, and King Kong Bundy. And my jabroni ass forgot the royal family, which consisted
I just wanted to hear you read this.
of Jerry Lawler, Cheesy, Queasy, and Sleazy.
My pick is Sleazy. Win it all. Fight me on that one.
Obviously, those are 3 little people that, because the match they won was against Clowns Are Us, which was Dink, Doink, Pink, and Wink. All clowns. I can't stand clowns, so I'm glad there are no clowns in this tournament here. Given that, so we're realistically talking here.
We're back to our 3 that you said.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, because of the time, and as much as Jerry Lawler is still the king of Memphis,
Right.
Let's face it, this is the WWF. It's 1994, and he's not going to get that push. He's just not.
No.
And
not
you've got Razor Ramon on the rise. You have 2 other seasoned vets in Bam Bam Bigelow and King Kong Bundy,
who are having a great 94, by the way.
Hell yeah.
And $1 million team.
And you know what? I'm gonna get rid of Bundy right away.
Okay, that's fair.
I think Bundy's just, he doesn't have it anymore. Not like he used to.
But it's still a respectful 94.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I agree. So your final 2, I should say, is Bam Bam Bigelow and Razor Ramon.
And anybody who knows me knows I am a huge Scott Hall fan.
Yeah.
But for my money, Bam Bam Bigelow takes 1994.
It's hard to bet against Bam Bam because thing is, a lot of people kind of sleep on Bam Bam because
a lot of people.
Yeah, they look at the size, they look at just the look of this guy, and it's just like, yeah, he's a big guy, that's it. But he was one of those first guys, him alongside Vader, were those 2 guys that took big man wrestling to the heights they'd never been before. And they don't get the respect that they deserve.
Mark my words, Bam Bam's getting Hall of Fame this year.
I hope you're right.
Yep.
Deservedly so. You and me both are huge Scott Hall fans. Razor Ramon, it's hard to beat Razor Ramon in 94.
It is,
really
man.
Is.
It is.
I think if anybody does it, because if we're going to base it off of where they're at in that year, we can't forget the power of the $1 million team. That was a huge deal. People forget about that.
They do.
That was a huge. That was like one of the last great factions with the manager.
Yes.
And so as far as WWE is concerned, WWF, man, it's like a toss up for me. Flip a coin. I'll say it lands on Bam Bam Bigelow. I'm not gonna fight it because either one of those guys are great candidates for 94. I think a lot of people would probably go Razor because of the well-known status that he had. But again, Bam Bam doesn't get the respect that he deserves, and you got to do your homework a little bit more. Bam Bam is just as hot.
I thought you were going to say because he oozes machismo.
Well, yeah, he oozes machismo. He just brought me a pot today. It's limited edition, and I'm like, he's looking at me. He's kind of giving me the eye. There you go, Chico. Survey time. Sorry, man. Bam Bam wins 94, and it sucks because you and I both know that this is his last Survivor Series.
Yep.
But yeah, we got to go with our guts here. He's out. So
Ladies and gentlemen, 1994 is in the books. We are a little over a third of the way through our fantasy booking of the Soul Survivor Series tournament, and we're gonna take a quick break, pay some bills. We hope you're enjoying our Thanksgiving special this year. Stay tuned. We'll have more when we come back.
This episode of the 20x20 Crew is sponsored by Amazon Prime. Sign up for a free 30-day trial and you get instant access to thousands of movies and television episodes. You get to borrow Kindle ebooks. You also get unlimited free 2-day shipping with no minimum order size. You don't have to purchase. You can cancel anytime and still show the 20x20 Crew some love. You can sign up for Amazon Prime through the 20x20 Crew by visiting our website at 20x20crew.com/podcast/Amazon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support. And now let's get back to the show.
Hello, wrestling fans. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around and letting us pay some bills. Actually, during the break, there was an audible that was thrown. This is a pretty big episode that was definitely taped, and I want to do it properly. Joe came up with a really good idea when he came up with a Survivor Series tournament, and I want to do it justice. So we're actually going to make it a 2-part episode. As far as the tournament bracketology, if you will, it's going to be a 2-part episode. It's going to be this week and next week, the day of Thanksgiving. So you can definitely check out part 2 as you're stuffing down some leftovers, enjoying the holiday weekend, hopefully. We're going to go ahead and release part 2, and then we're going to actually do the tournaments, which I'm super excited about. I hope you are too. Please, please, please give us your feedback on this episode as well as any other episode. And I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks so much for listening to part 1. Look forward to having you back for part 2 next week. And on behalf of Joe and myself, wish you a happy holiday season. And until we meet again, we will see you in the ring.